Welcome, warriors, demons, and ghosts, to another exciting game review. Today, we will be sliding into the stunning open world adventure of Ghosts of Tsushima. In case you haven't already heard the jump, this adventure takes place in the heart of feudal Japan, where you play as a young headstrong samurai by the name of Jin Sakai, who is on the quest to save Tsushima from the invading Mongol army and liberate his home, all while looking good at the same time. Ghosts of Tsushima was made by Sucker Punch Productions, and if that sounds familiar to you, it's most likely because it will be. Sucker Punch gained widespread recognition for their beloved Sly Cooper series and also their highly acclaimed Infamous series. These franchises showcase the studio's talent for crafting engaging stories and fluid gameplay. With Ghosts of Tsushima, have they once again demonstrated their ability to create an immersive tale and hit the mark? Or will it leave Ishikawa disappointed, which quite honestly seems really easy to do? That is what we are here today to find out. So let's dive in. For the most part, if you have played the PlayStation version of this game, you know what you are getting. But if you haven't, I will get the big question out of the way. Is this game worth it? Yes. 100 times yes. In so many ways, but we will get to that in a moment. From the moment the first cutscene plays, you can tell this is going to be an amazing adventure. From the framing of the very first scene down to the atmosphere. So much story is on display before the first character even speaks a word, which I feel is a much more rare thing to see in video games these days, or just generally in media as a whole. I also don't want to get into spoiler territory, but my god, it's made clear real quick that this game is not messing around. These villains are bad, these heroes are conflicted, and Jin doesn't have all the answers. And to be honest, most of the time he barely has any of them, and I love that Jin acknowledges this very fact. So first things first, I want to start off with the world map, as for many people, this will be the sell. The world map features 3 distinct regions, a 4th added in the Iki Island expansion, which has been included with the PC version of the game, which I must note is what I completed my gameplay on. Each region holds a unique theme, with its own visual appeal, its own textures and assets. This diversity is refreshing. It's not often seen these days in many open world games, where they will actually create new assets per region. You don't see a lot of those cutting corner techniques used here that you usually do in medium to big open world games, and it looks phenomenal. There is a real sense of geography here as well, more than I feel in most open world games. For example, if you decide to travel back to the first region after reaching the second, Toyotama, to check off some side quests or maybe be a menace to the Mongol camps, it genuinely feels like you are travelling locations, and it evokes a sense of returning home in a way. There is no same when it comes to the environments of this world, and it's a pure example of quality over quantity. The beauty of Ghosts extends far beyond its technical prowess. It's an artistic masterpiece. From the cherry blossom laden lands to experiencing the dynamic weather systems in play, every detail feels crafted to enact the feeling of immersion. The light is capturing, the shadows feel mysterious. The reflections of the lakes, which you will spend a fair time looking out on, match the reflection of your journey, and the architecture of the time really make you forget that you're playing a game and more enters into the realm of an interactive movie, without actually having to bleed red for the experience. Speaking of pain, what about the combat? First, let me preface by saying I don't see this game to be an RPG in any way. More of a stealth action adventure with lightly borrowed RPG elements. However, saying that, there is more customization in the early game when picking out your initial builds than I see in many RPGs on the market. The long and short of it is that combat is built around Jin's various sword fighting stances. You will begin with the basic stance, called Stone Stance, which is most effective against standard swordsmen, and through a very decent progression system, you will unlock the other 3. Water Stance for shielded enemies, Wind Stance for spearsmen, and Moon Stance for taking down big brutes. Each of these stances have their own combat mechanics, stuns, and finishes, and it's very fun to pair attacks from each stance together and figure out what you might come up with. I did enjoy the intricacies involved in combat, although it did take me a minute to understand how different enemy types correlate to specific stances, or more so just remembering which stance is for which enemy. I think the complexity speaks to how Sucker Punch innovatively expands a very simple formula, demonstrating how even the slightest edge of creativity can have a lasting impact. Now, that's not me saying it's a whole new system with, things that you've never seen at all. Most of the combat will be almost instantly familiar if you've played an RPG in the last 10 years. There are standard and heavy attacks, which can break enemies' defenses, blockable and parryable attacks, and unblockable attacks that require you to be mashing that dodge button, hoping for a perfect dodge. And in addition to the usual suspects, different enemy types are almost immune to most attacks unless you're in the correct stance. I believe the game presents these mechanics hoping players will get creative and experimental, but if you decide to stay in the one stance, that is more than okay as well. In fact, this is the road I travelled while I was finding my feet very early on, and it was fun to have an excuse to fight different enemy types and not just have the same guy copied 600 times throughout the game world, save from the bosses. Now, if warrior style isn't your jam, then I do have excellent news for you. The stealth in Ghosts of Tsushima is probably one of its best weapons. It is spot on, with many tools to aid you in the shadows such as smoke bombs, wind chimes, and firecrackers. You will also be able to build around stealth if that is your core playstyle, which can be complemented by your bow, which is plenty powerful combined with the right charms. However, if you're someone who is strictly cloak and dagger, you will be in store for a powerful build no matter what, with more than enough skills in the progression tree to assist, such as special assassinations, improved focus hearing, and many more masteries. And you can have a play around with the different builds without the fear that you won't be able to pick every option. There is enough experience and skill points in the game to become the true Ghost of Tsushima Island. When I started playing Ghosts, I knew that this was going to be a driving point for me in my review, because quite honestly, I am still super impressed by this. As someone who will usually decide whether or not I will 100% a game based on the quality of the world, and not someone who needs to have every trophy in the packet, I often find certain open world games to be too much to handle once the missions have been completed. So I will end up doing maybe 60 to 70% of the collectibles based on what time permits. With Ghosts, you really get the sense that your time is respected. First of all, it does not take long to 100% this game, so I'll say that off the bat. I knew maybe within the first 2 hours of playing that I would be going back to do all of the content available. And while doing even the best thing 100 times can get tedious, I will say the side content here was very engaging and very inventive. Your first big step into side content will be your typical side quest called Tales of Tsushima. There isn't really a whole lot to say about these. They're standard action quests that don't really add much. They are more in place for the sake of letting Jin be the hero, or to showcase the grittiness of the world, which they do really well. The next big form of side content that you'll come across are the Mythic Towers, which handle a lot of the world building and glitter you with the ancient lore of the island's deadliest warriors. Completing these will reward you with fitting techniques or legendary gear, depending on which quest you do. Even if you aren't a completionist, these quests are a must. Do not make the mistake of completing a playthrough without coming across these tales. Aside from the powerful rewards, they are just an overall fantastic experience. The rest of your time will be spent liberating areas from Mongol territories, following foxes back to their dens to honour shrines to collect their charms, cutting down evil bamboo, soaking in the hot springs, and much, much more. The variety is quite large, but it does not feel overwhelming. There is even more variety over on Ikkyu Island, and that's not even considering New Game Plus. So it's safe to say if you're a completionist or a collectionist, is collectionist the right word? Either way, you will be getting your money's worth. I also really appreciate the fact that collectibles actually build your character, as again, this is something I feel that a lot of big RPGs miss. What I mean by that is, you get stronger by hunting down charms, you get more health by soaking in the hot springs, you get more resolve by defeating evil bamboo. Not actually evil, by the way. I want to round this out by talking a bit about the story, with no spoilers so you're safe. Jin is a very skilled samurai who just happens to be Tsushima's biggest embodiment of dedication and loyalty. He has been trained from a very young age to follow a strict code of conduct and follow in the footsteps of his lineage. There is something truly deep about Jin. As a character, he is intense and is almost burdened with a sense of sorrow that he is destined to struggle with. Jin often finds himself tangled in situations where there are no black or white answers, and I feel a lot of the time he is the only person who realizes this. Maybe I just simply resonate with his choices, but throughout Jin's journey, he is coming to grips with the hand he has been dealt, and he feels as if he has not come far enough to carry the emotional burden this saga leaves to him. Whereas I feel he carries this burden because a lot of the time people around him take the quick, selfish, and deplorable path. Along his journey, Jin will build up a fellowship, recruiting and assisting the likes of Yuna, a skilled thief and moral support, Taka, Yuna's brother and master blacksmith, Sensei Ishikawa, a skilled archer with a complex history, Lady Masako, mother of the Adachi clan, who is basically the ghostwriter of the 13th century, his uncle, Lord Shimura, who serves as his mentor and father figure, and a few other key people who will be there throughout your journey. Each member of the Fellowship brings their own personal stakes and conflicting motivations, creating a dynamic group with many agenda that evolves alongside Jin's journey as the Ghost, and you will need these people in your fight against the head of the Mongol army, Khotan Khan. Khan is a formidable warrior who is cunning as he is fierce, an all-around baddie. He truly believes he has come to liberate Tsushima to a better way of life through trial by fire, and he does not mince words. Khan poses a threat to Jin not only because of his combat skills, but also because of his psychological warfare. He challenges Jin's principles by igniting a war of ideologies in an attempt to shatter Jin's belief system, forcing Jin to question his own code of honor. This just might be something that will come back to bite Khan in the rear before the story's end. And I can guarantee you one thing. Just as Khan pushes Jin's limits, the opposite is true as well, which was a pleasure to see. There are real stakes on both sides, and the island reeks of the desperation of struggle, which is an explosive mixture. With the cost of living and the quality of games today, it's not as easy to purchase a game as it once was, so you might be more cautious with your choices, which is understandable. So where does that leave us? This game is an easy recommendation to purchase for me. You'll get a lot of miles out of the game regardless of the type of gamer you are, if you're someone who likes collecting or if you're someone who's strictly there for the story. It feels like a game that is made with top-notch quality, a game made by gamers. Now, I'm interested in your thoughts. Did you buy the game already? Are you looking forward to a sequel? Or are you happy where the story ends? Comment down below and let's chat. I appreciate all of your support. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. A lot of work goes into these videos as I am a one-man army and I love to talk shop. That is why it takes a bit longer to get the videos out. Between capturing the footage, cutting to writing the reviews, and generally remembering what happened while I was playing the game. But trust me when I say I am working very hard to bring new videos out, and I do appreciate all of the love and support you show on all of my videos. I can't wait to see what we're going to bridge next. Stay safe out there and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of someone you love.